Hello, everybody, and welcome to the New Look Overtime Hockey Podcast. We'll be featuring video and graphics throughout all of our programs. Our goal is to provide an inside look at the game at all levels. We'll run once a week in the summer and fall, and then multiple times in the winter season. On today's show, we will play you the Minnesota Frost's entire year-end press conference. We'll hear from Benilde St. Margaret's Ken Pauly and Danny Charleston as some coaching changes have come down for the Red Knights this summer. And then we're going to take a look at the preseason Dangle League Combine. Our first segment will feature General Manager Melissa Caruso and Head Coach Ken Klee from the Minnesota Frost.
Yeah, it was incredible. First off, obviously, just want to thank all of you for your continued support of the team all season long. I think the team felt supported, which was a huge factor in the success as well. But yeah, I mean, from day one, I realized it was a great group that I had inherited. From the players to the staff. I think it was a really big collaborative effort to end the season the way that we did. We obviously had ups and downs. We had lots of illnesses, lots of injuries, and the team came out on top, and watching them celebrate last week and getting rewarded for fighting with their backs against the walls for the last couple of weeks there was really exciting. And I think also there's a really big group of talented people who are working behind the scenes, from the coaching staff to the support staff, medical staff, operations, strength and conditioning. It's a big group of people that care deeply about the success of this team, and obviously couldn't have done it without them.
It always gets tougher. I think we knew, like after the draft last year, we thought we were going to be better, but also I thought every team was going to be better. So we knew we were going to have a tougher task, even though we had the first year. And it's just really about the players buying in and doing the right things at the right times, playing the right way. When you have buy-in from your entire group and the kind of extra support, like what Melissa had just mentioned, we added some pieces to our staff, to our medical group, to our strength conditioning. I mean, we added some really good pieces to kind of help the players on their day-to-day so that they could perform when it mattered most. And, I think it was obviously it's tight when you go to 4 overtime games in a row. The games are extremely tight. I think that was it the whole year. I think when you look at second place was 500, third 500, fourth 500, fifth 500. So it just shows the parity in our league, which makes it fun. It makes it a really great league to be a part of.
That's a great question. We, as Ken mentioned, we did bring on some staff this year, and that included some scouts who had been working for us throughout the season remotely. So it's been a really collaborative effort. I've had the entire coaching staff involved, all of the scouting staff involved over the last few weeks. A lot of phone calls, a lot of questions. And yeah, you're right. There are a variety of factors that we're looking at. I guess that the situation that we're in right now with the league is, there could be more expansion. So it's almost like we're planning and for very short periods of time right now, knowing that we're going to be experiencing change again coming up in the next couple of years. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We have some players who are toward the ends of their career, some who are just getting started. We'll be approaching it, trying to find the best mix of both of those groups that will allow us to succeed next season. Ken and I had, very thorough exit meetings with all of the roster last week. And yeah, these athletes have a lot on their minds right now, and, where their career is heading. And obviously next year is going to be a huge year, not just in the PWHL, but, making those Olympic teams. So I think they're all feeling the pressure right now, and again, trying to look ahead, but also trying to be realistic that the league is going to be constantly evolving. It has definitely been a whirlwind. Obviously, the win on Monday night was just an incredible experience for me personally, and to be able to do that with the team and the staff, it was again really rewarding. But yeah, I guess the next day kind of got down to business and kind of starting to think a little bit more strategically over the last week. And we obviously had our exit meeting scheduled for Thursday, so making sure that we were asking the right questions to get the information that we need to make these decisions. And since then, a lot of agent calls. It's certainly been a busy week. Personally, that wasn't what my background was in. So right off the hop, I knew I was going to need support there. And I think, again, there's a lot of people around hockey who have expertise in different areas. So that was, one of the first moves that I had made. And again, it's proved really valuable over the course of the season, because not only have they been able to help with the expansion draft, but they've also done a lot of preparations in terms of the entry draft as well. Obviously continuing to build off of the success. I think obviously the first step is figuring out exactly where our 4 vacancies are going to come on our roster. So we'll know that in a short week. And from there, it's going to be, plugging in the pieces and, trying to find athletes who fit our culture and fit our style, and, maybe add some more physicality and speed. And those are our plans.
I would say, I think the game is constantly evolving. I think there was a big push with the referees and the hockey ops committees kind of deciding, what's legal as far as physicality, what is not. Obviously, we had some suspensions this year, as every other team did as well. Just trying to find that line for, how physical players can be and what's going to be allowed, what's not. I think there is an expectation now. At the beginning, I don't think the players really knew how to protect themselves, and that was a key thing for me as a former player, and obviously I have 3 sons who play. And when they first started body checking, my concern wasn't for them to know how to give body check, but it was more how to get, how to receive and make sure they were safe and not getting injured. So I think the league has made leaps and bounds with that. I think you saw a lot of the rookies this year struggle with it, and then a lot of them, as the season went, they kind of got more comfortable, and then their games picked up. But to me, that'll be like the constant evolvement. I think when new players come in, when the draft class comes in, it's them getting used to the amount of physicality that's allowed game in and game out, and how tight every game is. You're not going to have the and a lot of the other leagues, unfortunately, there's a big difference between the top 4 and the bottom 4, say, for example, in each conference that you want to go to, or that sort of thing. So I just think in our league, where we have 6 that are all strong and all could beat each other on any given night, I think it just, it proves for great hockey, but it's also ultra competitive, and it's there's definitely a learning curve for the new players. I mean, I think it's amazing. I think, again, it's a testament to our players, to our staff, to our culture, as Melissa mentioned. And, it just comes down to them. They're finding ways. Obviously, as coaches, we're trying to put them in situations where they can succeed. But also, at the end of the day, we need a goalie to come up with a big save at a key time. We need a defender to make a good, have a good stick and block something, or score, or, a forward to make an unbelievable outlet pass that's going to allow us to get on the offense to be able to score. So I just think it's really a testament to our group and our players. And, and just to kind of go back on the questions that Melissa had, we know we're going to lose 4 great players, and so is everyone else. So it's going to be, it's just as interesting for us, I think, as it is for everybody to say, okay, we only can protect 3. So no matter what, we're losing 4 great players, whether they're 4 old players, 4 young players, 4 in-between players. Like, we have no idea how these new franchises are going to put their team together. But it's certainly exciting. And then afterward, we're going to have to, say, okay, what do we lose? Like Melissa said, we're going to have to add through the draft. We're going to maybe try to have to add through free agency, and obviously promote from within our players who can have a bigger role than maybe they had this year. So I think that was our key message at the end of the year, was that we're losing 4 key members no matter what we do. No matter who we protect, we're losing 4 key members. So, but it's opportunity for the other players who are still there, as well as, we're going to have to draft well and figure out the other pieces. I mean, I think it's going to impact everyone. I think it's, like I said, we play by the rules that are handed to us, whether that's on the ice or off the ice. And, when they announced that every team was only going to protect 3 and every team was going to lose 4, I think all of our mouths kind of dropped open, like, that's a lot. But at the flip side is, like I said, we're going to have great opportunity for players who are already there, who maybe don't have as big a role as they would like, and as well as, we have a good scouting staff, and looking at pro scouts and stuff like that to look at other players who might be interested in coming into our program. So, it's going to be exciting. I think it's, believe me, we're as curious as everyone how these teams are going to be put together. Are they going to look to take defenders first? Are they going to look for all offense? Are they going to look for older players, younger players? Like, to me, it's really going to be interesting the way they try to put their teams together.
That's a great question. Like Ken mentioned, we don't know what approach that these teams are going to take to build their rosters. But yeah, I think yeah, there could be a little bit more player movement next year. Maybe some players get selected and maybe it's not a great fit. We'll just have to wait and see. It was great. I mean, obviously you saw the crowd of 11,000 for the clinching game last week, and I think we certainly struggled on some dates, some midweeks. I think every team kind of had that struggle throughout the winter, but I was really impressed with the fan support this season, and I know the team was as well.
And the Frost are going to have to say goodbye to a couple of players this year. Claire Thompson and Sophie Jakes were selected by Vancouver and Seattle. They were finalists for Defender of the Year, 2 of 3. Since teams can only lose 4 players, and after the 2 were selected, the Frost were able to add Britta Curl-Salem to their protected list, joining Taylor Heisey, Kendall Coyne-Schofield, and Lee Steckline. We'll now turn our attentions to high school hockey, the Benilde St. Margaret's. We have head coach Ken Pauly. He brings on former Red Knight and now assistant coach Danny Charleston for a great interview right here on the Ovetime Podcast. We are excited to bring in head coach Ken Pauly and Danny Charleston, former head coach of the Armstrong Cooper Wings, who is now back at his alma mater. Oh, we might have to tell that story of the paint again there, Buddha, on your hat.
Yeah,
we'll say that's a great one. But anyway, Danny is coming back home in a way as he is joining your staff, and one of your assistant coaches, Casey, obviously headed over to take the spot at Armstrong Cooper. So we'll talk a lot about Danny, the Red Knights, the direction. You have a retirement to announce from a longtime staff member. So I think there's just plenty to cover here, and this is going to be a great podcast segment. So thanks for joining the show, guys.
Yeah, a lot going on, baby.
Indeed.
Excited.
Danny, I like that backdrop there. You got some product up there. I see some trophies. What else do you have going on there?
Maybe some family photos, old photos. I don't know.
I got to put the glasses on. Oh, breaking it down. Yeah.
It's all his daughter's achievements, not his.
Oh, for sure. Well, Buddha, Ken, if you don't mind, if I can jump in on Danny here right away, just to get him going on this, and then we'll weave you into it. You know, Danny, when you found out this opportunity was coming about at Benilde St. Margaret's, what was your initial reaction?
Just excitement, right? Excitement to go back to a place that has always made you feel welcome. They've always treated me super well. I've had great experiences at BSM, not only as a coach, but as a player. And I look back at some of the memories that we've had, and just pure excitement. It's nice to be wanted, and Coach Ken had reached out to me, and, we spoke about the possible transition and coming over, and it made sense. It felt right. But I was ecstatic to get the call, and just excited to get back and in the red, white, and Red Knight. So it's super exciting.
So obviously, you know how Ken coaches. Were there things that you took you've obviously had runs in the AHL, the East Coast League. I think there's even some Europe action for you there. Some college, it's a expansive playing resume, but was there anything that you utilized from Coach Pauly in your head coaching stop?
I tried to, right?
Right.
I think I call him Coach. I still call him Coach to this day. And I think he's a tremendous motivator. He gets the players fired up. He's a great teacher of the game, and that's the things that I wanted to take into wherever I was coaching. And I felt like I did a good job, but there's a ton of stuff to learn from Coach Pauly. And I think that his motivating and his want and for the players to kind of run through a door for them is something that I've always inspired to have our guys want to do for me. And it's been super, he's been super informative. He wants to help, right? He's not hiding anything. He just wants me to genuinely do well, and I've always felt that from him whenever I had to reach out to him. Even though we were in the same section, right? And he would still help me, and he would be a mentor to me. And just the way he handles people and coaches is something that I've always wanted to emulate.
Ken, the name Danny Charleston came up a lot over the years that we've spoken, and it's always been, Danny, so in the highest of regard. I know his respect level for you is immense. And, Ken, why don't you share some of the things about Danny from when he played and as the person he is that you are most drawn to?
Well, he's a competitor, right? So a competitor is a good person, and when you have a competitor who's a good person, that's that builds a bonfire for achievement. And so we only had him for for 1 year, at BSM. I think it was just 1 year, Danny, because I know you went USHL. But again, he was incredibly impactful. And he was highly skilled, but he worked his ass off the ice too. He was very much into into his training, and he worked his craft, and a super coachable kid. Guys loved him. He was a leader, and I'll tell you what. I mean, it's just. I mean, believe me, I can go on and on. I know you can. Wags, you and I are the same way, so you have to cut me off. But I will tell you, he's the sort of guy when the game was on the line, he was at his best, and that's why he won a state championship when he was there. And that's the guys who are really players when the game's on the line, they're there. And we basically kind of came out of nowhere. If you remember that run we had, in 01, Danny, it's like, man, it's just like we were having a good year, but we were like seated fourth or something in that section. And I believe I know as a private school, you don't give any breaks in section seatings, and some things never change. And I just remember they seated us like fourth and fifth, and it was just a joke. And I just said, that's fine. I looked at him and I said, we'll see you on the ice. I said, we're going to kick everyone's ass. And we did. And, it was just like, but Danny was just on fire. So again, his skill, his passion for the game, likability, he's just a good guy. He's just a good guy, And so as a player, it was really fun. And again, I'll tell you what, and he left early to go to juniors, but you know what, Wags? At least he had a decency to win something first.
Right.
It's like, hey, you want to win a state title? I'll drive you to wherever you want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was great, and we always followed his his career. I think you were Chicago Steel, weren't you, Danny?
Yeah.
Chicago Steel, and then he went to Nebraska Omaha. He played at,
Yeah.
So we kept tabs on him, and he's got a few games under his belt. In the American Hockey League, and anyone knows pro hockey knows that's really a hard league to play in. And Danny probably could go on even further with that. He's he's incredibly humble person as well. A lot of humility there. And he could have gone further with that, but he sacrificed for his family, kind of cut it a little bit short. He's devoted to his wife and to his kids, and that became a lot more important to him than chasing after it. Probably could have played. I think you ended up. I don't know if you were in the Chicago system or Detroit system, Danny, but was it Chicago or Detroit? I thought it was one.
Devils. The New
Devils.
Jersey Devils.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, look over his shoulder. You see the bobblehead there?
I should know that. See, my eyes are bad. But you again. And then when he I guess maybe to close the loop on this, it's like then when Danny was done. We had him as a coach in 2012, the year we won the state championship, and by God, it's like it was really. I mean, you can't. I mean, listen. Here's my thing. I want to coach and work with people that I care about and I like. I don't. Give me your resume. I don't really. Okay, that's fine. But I just want people I trust and I know and who I enjoy being around. And so when Danny, we had a chance to bring Danny in. Boy, that was just like, geez, this guy's good. In fact, Grant Bessie will tell you to this day that he learned he learned more about his game from Danny than anyone else. All right, and
really?
And that's pretty high compliment. And we won that championship in 2012. And I know we wouldn't have achieved what we achieved without Danny. So we're thrilled to have him home. And we love Casey. We wish him well. He'll do well over at Armstrong Cooper. I love him. And but again, we're very blessed. I knew Danny was available, and trust me, I didn't wait too long for that one. I jumped right on it.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, you had a retirement on your staff too, and then Casey Michaela goes over to Armstrong Cooper. So you've got two holes on your bench. I mean, two bench coaches. Obviously, John Russo Jr. after years with you, manning the defensive side of the game with the blue line. I believe PK, maybe did he have the power play too? He's gone. So you've got two big holes. You fill one with Danny, who is a high school hockey head coach. And then what did you do as far as the blue line and handling a defenseman?
Well, yeah, and we've been kind of glassed up, but when I went out to Minnetonka 20 years ago, I did. John joined me with the Skippers, and we had successful 3 years there. Went to a state tournament, then came back with me for 17 years at BSM, and it's just time for John to kind of spend some time with his daughter, who's going to high school playing, and so it's just he's again, like Danny, he's devoted to his family. That's going to take first for John because life goes by too quickly. And so Tanner Grinna, who I think is a really good young coach, has a great experience coaching youth hockey. He's been coaching with our JV the last 3 years. I coached against his father, Todd, at Hutchinson Tigers when I came in the old Minnesota Conference back in the 90s. So Todd played for those Grand Rapids teams that won state championships. So Todd's a great guy. But Tanner, Tanner's a good young coach. He's also does a lot of scouting for a USHL team and a North American League team. So he's got good connections there for our kids, knows the game. And he's a good guy. And, the thing is, Wags, I just turned 61. You and I are getting old. I mean, your old thing, get off my lawn. I'm getting old, baby. But you've got to keep some young guys on staff. You got to keep it, not everybody can be applying for their ARB card, so. Right
on. Well, you need to connect with today's athletes. So that brings me to the question. Danny, I'll start with you. How do you see the two of you blending? You've obviously been together in the past, but with your head coaching experience, are there things that assistant coaches did that you loved and maybe some things that annoyed you that maybe you will bring into this role with Ken?
Yeah, for sure. Just being a head coach for 13 years, you look at some of the needs that you're looking for or wanting from assistant coaches, and I'm hoping to fill those needs for coach. And obviously it's a relationship and an understanding of A, what Red Knight hockey is, B, how are we going to get there, and C, us having a lockstep relationship and an understanding of how we're both going to run our duties, right? And, coach is the head coach and I'm an assistant coach, but I feel like having a mutual respect for one another and understanding that we both want to achieve success. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? We want to win, we want to compete, and we want to do great things. But ultimately having an open dialogue and understanding, like, what do you want from me and what are my responsibilities? And coach, what can I do to help you? What are some holes there that I need to fill for you? And be that for him and be the best assistant coach I possibly can for him. And having my ears and eyes opened on what I can add to my tool belt for my own success, and look at someone like Ken, who's run the program as long as he had and has as much success as he has. What could I do to steal from him to put into my own tool belt and use further down the line?
Ken, great stuff for you to hear, I'm sure. And the one thing that I've noticed about your staff, there's a lot. You've got people that have many roles within your group, but everybody seems to understand their role, and there isn't very much room for backbiting and personal agendas. Your staff always seems to be absolutely on the same page. Do you feel that way now? I mean, these are two pretty big parts of your staff that are being replaced by two great parts as well. Do you feel like you seamlessly hit the ground running? And how important is that for the kids to have that unified, cohesive message?
It's everything. I think the most important thing in an assistant coach is that you trust them. It's the most important thing, nothing else. That's number one. And I'll tell you, when you start, I'll tell you what's helped our staff over the year in stability. It's like, and you know this way, because I consider you a pretty dang good friend, quite frankly. But you've watched
years,
basically watched over the years. I coach my friends and people I care about, and we trust each other. And listen, we're people. We're people of faith. All right, we're people of faith. Again, I mean, it's just like I'm not always the best. You try to do your best, but the lordship of Christ is still number one, and it's usually. And I'll tell you, the vast majority of our staff, that's where we're at. And when you start with faith, basically that's so important. And so I think that's. At the end of the day, Wags, everything else falls into place, and then it's like, and we're going to fight. We're going to argue. Those things are going to happen. And we should. That's healthy. You don't need a bunch of yes men. You need guys seeing things differently. Even Danny and I talked, I see what I'm really excited is to see this different manifestation of Danny, because I've seen Danny as a kid, as a little punk, and I had him as his first year coaching with us, and he went from his first year coaching with us to taking on the Armstrong Cooper program. And it's a mid-level program, and it's not running them down. They just don't have the same depth as big suburban programs and some of the resources that private school, you just have less to work with. And he got an awful lot, out of those kids. So he's
very, very competitive.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. And so he's just going to bring so much. And Wags, one thing I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I know where I'm strong, and I know where I'm weak.
Right.
And like you said, in our staff, I have a lot of guys around, but there's a reason for that. They all have their role, and it's a team. It's a team game on the ice. It's a team game behind the bench too. And Danny has incredible knowledge. He's a great trainer. It is such a blessing and a great pickup for our program. I got to tell you, Wags, when I announced to the kids that was bringing Danny in, there's a lot of kids who had trained with Danny, and kids, a few kids in Armstrong, and their heads were nodding, smiling. They love Danny. My son AJ, he's 21 now, but AJ is a little pissed off because he goes, I would love to play for Danny, because AJ just adores Danny. So we could not be happier. Like I said, it's not a rip on. I love JR. I love Casey. We wish him well, but we'll bring in Tanner and bring in Casey. Listen, I'm like in my 38th year. It's like, Red Knight hockey version 5.0. You've got to keep changing. This is the nature. It's the nature of the game. And, so we're going to hit the ground running. We're excited. We're really excited.
Let's talk about the summer and roles. I believe the summer work that you do at your summer camps are excellent. Danny, what are you seeing yourself? Are you getting involved with those this summer, and what will your role be?
Yeah, I'm going to get involved as much as I possibly can. I want to get in front of the kids as quickly as possible and start building the relationship and the trust with the players, and sort of understanding what the expectations are, at least from me and to them, and coach, what do you want me to do? And I think the quicker I can get on the ice with them, the better. So I plan on being involved and really kind of hitting the ground running, and continuing into November. It's a long ways away, but it comes really fast. And the season
it is quick, man. You blink and that train's going. It ain't waiting. Once it leaves the station, that season's right. It's tough. Danny, I got another question for you. When we talk about your resume and your history as a player, you were for sure in the hockey grind, like just working and working and working. What are some of the things that you have helped high school kids with, from what you've learned from your process, that you can pass on today?
I just think that committing to your craft. When I played, the game tells you, the game can mess with your head a little bit, and when I was in the American League, it was in the back of my head, maybe I wasn't as good enough, or maybe I should be here, shouldn't be. The game kind of plays with your mind a little bit in a way where you got to have that positive mental attitude, that positive approach, and you have to be like goal driven and oriented of like, what are you trying to accomplish? And then, and not only that, how do you get there? And I know a lot of guys have different places, and they're going to do a lot of different things, and they're doing this and they're skipping over to do that. But, just from a player standpoint, like setting a goal, hitting a target, and then moving on to the next. I think sometimes we look too far forward in the future about where I'm going to go. And as a player, Coach Ken probably wanted to rip his hair out half the time when I was on the ice. And it's funny because you think back at the guys who gave me the most stress were the guys that were exactly like me when I played, right? and it's like this revolving cycle, and I see myself in some of these kids, and it's one of those things where, what coach says, you don't know what you don't know, right? And you don't know at that time. and you're a young
Right.
kid and you think you have it all figured out and you just don't. And me as an adult here at 40, I just don't. I'm a forever learner. I'm learning. My eyes are open, my ears are open, and I just think if I can help guide these kids and show them how to do it, and help them in any way I can, it'll make them a better athlete and provide that confidence for them to play at the top, of their abilities. Good things will happen.
If anybody has seen anything that I've done, I try to use this quote in this situation as much as possible. I was doing a radio show on Deck Radio with Gene Larkin and Al Newman on 105 The Ticket back in the glory days of that. And I asked Gene, what is the one thing you tell Legion players that you're coaching right now that from today that you didn't know then that you do now? And he said, without a question, he said, I spent 8 years in my life worrying about remaining and staying as a big leaguer and not 8 years being a big leaguer and just enjoying it and letting it happen. He said, if I look back and I'd say, if I wasn't so worried, God, I could have been really good, and he was good as well. But, that's an interesting thought that I think it's the perpetual pursuit. And then once you get there, you don't want to lose what is there. Fair?
Right. 100%.
So how do things look for you guys? Let's just talk about the club real quick. Going into next year, a lot of the people, love to talk about this team, that team, and whatnot. And there's some always players that are coming into the new year that nobody really truly, they think they know, but you don't really know until you know what they're going to do. Where does this team fit in terms of where it ended the season last year? Where do you think you're going to be at going into this year, you guys?
Well, I will tell you, I think it's gonna look. I think we'll be. We have a good chance. I think it'll be a step up from we were last year. I thought this past year. I think this past year, in a lot of ways, we overachieved. In fact, I just had lunch with my captain, so we were just talking about the season and what's good. We are really. I'm very excited about our forwards. We have a lot of depth there. On my junior class is a good combination. There's a lot of skill there. There's a lot of character there, which I'm incredibly excited about. Senior class isn't as big, but there's some really good kids there. Keegan Davis, I think, is going to be one of the best forwards in the state of Minnesota. Keegan, he just made the Minnesota National 17 team, and he's a player. So I'm not worried about that. In goal, we're solid there. We have either Christopher Dean or Alex Beaton, who was just I think Alex was our JV lost one game last year, and he was the goalie. I mean, he was incredible.
Well, he perfected that level, is what I saw a lot of it. I think
and you know what it looks like.
You're good there,
But candidly, and that's and Danny's going to primarily work with the defense because basically we're going to have some work there. There's some raw material there, but there's some work to be done there, and so how far we go when you're competing against the programs you're competing against. Edina Wayzata and High School League is Infinite Wisdom decided to make it even better with bringing Rogers in now too. So it's like, okay, thank you.
Hey, who I just saw today? I was at Buffalo High School and I saw Aaron Johnston. I'm like, hey, buddy, how you feeling? He goes, awesome. They come in too as well. It's like, what?
Well, what kills me, and that's like, and for us, it's like, so in terms of we're going to be there in the end, and we always are. We're always there. And it's just, in ways we've talked about a million times, it's been a frustration. We've had a long absence from the state tournaments. There's no secret about that. But when you're in this section, I've been blessed over my career to go to 5 state tournaments with 4 different coaching staffs. But I like to say I went to 5 state tournaments, but I actually always had to win a mini state tournament to get to the state tournament because I was always in the toughest section. Like even in Class A, remember, Danny, with Class A hockey, we had Blake, Breck, St. Louis Park, us, Totino Grace. That was the section 5 was Class A. It was an incredible section. One year we were playing Blake, Wags, and there were 4 Mr. Hockey finalists on the ice between Benilde and Blake. And that's how good it was. So the point is not to sit here and get into excuses, but you and I grew up in Section 6, Wags. It's always been West Metro is where the power is. It always has been.
My entire life. That's all I've ever known.
Yeah, it's a tough.
That's all I've ever seen.
It's a tough climb, and I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Let's get after it. And
here's how I view it, though. Like you hit the nail on the head. It's like I've always viewed it as the sections are part of the state tournament, and Section 6 AA happens to be among, it depends. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's been 5 now. Sometimes but it's always been consistently to what you're saying. The only difference between teams like yours and everybody else, other than Edina, is they don't advance to what I would call the Elite 8, just like the NCAA basketball. It's definitely state tournament worthy what these kids go through. It's tough to see it end the way it does, but I think your teams, Wayzata, all of those teams that have been going tooth and nail at it at Bloomington Ice Garden in the semis and then the finals, it's been wild, man. It's been great. I know you don't get the result you want, but dang, I've seen some good hockey, buddy. Well, you can be proud of is what I'm saying.
Well, and look at the quarter. I mean, the quarterfinals are going to get even tougher. And that's like. I mean, look at Danny was 1 post away from going to overtime with Edina in the quarterfinals. All right, and I think you guys were up 2-0, Danny, if I remember.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, they pushed us. I'll tell you, they pushed us the year before, and I was talking about that. It's like there's not a gimme in the quarter. Maybe one of the games might be a gimme, but again, and now with Buffalo and Holy Angels, think about the 3-6, 4-5 game in Section 6 now. But you start the game in terms of where we fit. There's a lot that's going to be dependent upon bringing a very young defensive core. But we have a lot of juniors there, and we may need to convert a few people too. But we'll figure it out. And if we don't figure it out, we'll blame Danny.
Yeah.
Right. Blame the new guy. Right. Exactly. Guys, any other final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Let Danny talk. Shut up.
Yeah, Danny, your final thoughts on the stamp you want to put on this team moving forward?
No, just like I said, super excited, thankful, grateful for the opportunity, and I just want to be that coach for the kids and for Ken. That's gonna pour his heart and soul into the program and just create the standard, right? Create the standard, and Ken and I and the staff are going to talk about what that is and where are we going and how are we going to get there, and trusting in one another and the ability and honestly pushing our players to the brink of everything they can give us, right? Making sure that roadmap for success is clear to them, and then holding them accountable and pushing them as hard as we possibly can, and loving them and building them up, and creating the trust that I'm going to do my job, and everyone's going to do their job, and we're going to get things done. And so I'm super excited. I can't wait to get started. Monday, we start Monday, so
can you believe it?
It should be fun. Should be fun.
Are you sold out, guys, for the camps?
Oh yeah. Of course you are. Josh runs camp, and Danny still has his own training center that he runs, so he's got responsibilities there. But we'll figure it out. And I don't know, mid-year Wags, I'll buy you lunch and we'll update you.
We'll break it down. Danny, do you want to plug your training?
Yeah, I just, I've been running overspeed hockey training for many years now. It started in Chicago, Illinois. It kind of ventured into Minnesota here, where I've, built a home and a family. And, we've been training a lot of players for the last 13, 14 years. And we do on and off ice training. And it's something that I'm very proud of, and something that, I think I have a good staff around, and people who care about people. Going back to what Coach was saying earlier, is trusting people and enjoying the people you're around and caring about people. And Coach is right. I think it's the foundation in which we do things, right? You're on sand or you're on a strong foundation of rock, and I feel like how we handle ourselves and what we do matter, and how we treat people matter, and everything that we do is built around love and trust, and pouring ourselves into the kids and trying to get the most out of kids.
Ken, you're saying so long to two coaches that have been mainstays, John Russo Jr. in retirement, and Casey Michaela, who goes over to Armstrong Cooper. Congratulations to them and your crew. You've replaced them with Danny Charleston, a 13-year head coaching high school hockey veteran, a former player of yours. He understands the Red Knight way, and it sounds like the summer camps and things are ready to go. The makeup of your team should be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward for sure to it's going to be a great upcoming season. Final thoughts, sir.
No, I'll tell you, I'm just looking forward to I'm looking forward to learning from, Danny. It's like I've gone down to the college coaches conference quite a few years at Naples, and Jerry York, who's retired now, but Jerry York is a long time coach for Boston College, and then basically the Michigan coach, Red Berenson, right?
Red, yep.
There you go. And those guys, I was going down there, and about 8 years ago or 5 years. Their bottom line is those guys have been coaching forever, and they forgot more than anyone knows. And at these clinics, they're always sitting in the front row. And there's two things about those guys. They were nice to everybody. They didn't big time anybody. There's high school coaches that big time people, which I don't get. But they didn't big time anyone. They're in the front row taking notes. And I'm going to learn a lot from Danny. Our kids are going to learn a lot from Danny. And this still is about teaching and learning and moving kids on. And we could, we're excited. And that's we're pumped up. I'm pumped up. I'm excited for it.
Hell, even me up in the booth. I'm always looking to learn. I'm sure I'll learn something from Danny. So there you go. We all win. This is awesome.
So Wags, I wore my 2001 state championship hat for Danny Charleston because we don't win without him. The blue from the Blue Man Group. I was in Vegas, and the Blue Man Group. The guy came. I was in the front row. Blue Man Group is, Danny. They're probably a little too edgy for you. He grabbed my hat and was looking at it like it was a strange artifact. And I kept the blue on. That's from the Blue Man Group, man.
I was Blue Man Group in college, right?
Yeah.
Rookie party. You had to be a tennis player. The guys would dress. We were the Blue Man Group, so I know a lot about them.
Come on, Wags.
There you go.
It's a good story, Wags. Come on, it's a good story.
I love that story. I never get tired of hearing it. It's great. So it's great. But I noticed it right away, didn't I? All over it, like a cheap suit.
Yes, you do. But the statute of limitations done. We need another one.
That's right. Ken, Twins game anytime down here in the North Loop where the MN Hockey TV offices are. Day games, love it. Cubs are in town in September. Hopefully, or not September. Geez, in July. Hopefully, you're around for that. That would be great.
That's awesome. I look forward to it, Wags.
Be ready. Okay.
All right, baby.
All right, Danny. Cheers to you. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us here today, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Wags.
And great stuff for the Red Knights and the coaching staff. We look forward to bringing on 2 more teams next week. The show will follow the traditional lunches that were created by West Metro John Miller, who passed away this past spring. We'd love to bring coaches out for lunch. I've been a part of many of those, and it's been an absolute honor to be so, and we want to carry that on in the Ovetime Podcast. Our next segment is a look at the Dangle League, which is entering its 2nd season, and the leadership put together a great combine with jersey handouts and then workouts from Empower's Performance. We heard from Randy Koeppl, heard from a couple of players, and we'll give you a look how that all shook down at Empower's Performance.
Their enthusiasm, well, you can tell. I mean, these girls are excited. It's 80 degrees out Saturday morning, and these guys are jacked up. They are ready to roll. We're 3 weeks away, and we're really, really excited for this. We are really excited for year 2.
I just heard it was really great competition, and I just heard that it's a super fun experience, and I'm really, really excited to do it.
I'm most excited for all the new players and all the new skill. It's just such a fun environment, and I'm really excited to play with so many new talent and just get some fun games in the summer.
We're trying to mix it up a little bit, show the off-ice, show how hard these girls work in the off-season and their athletic ability and how strong they are.
I thought it was really great testing, and I just really enjoyed the atmosphere. I felt like everyone was super positive, and it was just really fun to do overall.
They're going to play together for 6 weeks here and get 9-10 games together. You get some continuity when you're playing with the same girls, and you start taking some pride in your team. And that's what really happened last year, is the girls started taking some pride, and the coaches started taking some pride, and the girls started playing to win.
It definitely helps give you confidence playing against such great players. It just builds up the confidence going into high school season, which is amazing.
I think it's going to be a great experience, especially after high school. I feel like I'm just going to get much better, and I think it's just going to be super fun.
I think we're going to be fast. We want it. So we're going to go for it. So I'm really excited. It'll be fun this year.
The Minnesota Wild are gearing up for the draft and off-season's moves that will consist of free agency and possibly even making some trades. We've heard a lot about Marco Rossi. We'll keep our eyes on that. We'll also take a look at some of the high school coaches. We have a boys and girls coach that'll be joining us next week. And then we'll also take a deeper dive into some developmental things that are going on with Minnesota hockey as they prepare to work their way through the summer. Thanks for joining us here on the Ovetime Podcast. I'm Pete Wagner. So long, everybody.